Hello everyone, I'm Loretta and welcome to my channel. So before I get started with this video, I just wanted to say thank you to all of the people who were sharing my video and liking and viewing, and if you don't know, it's my second video, this one is. So I'm just super excited because people were showing me so much love and support for my first one, and I'm just like over the moon. And I definitely want to shout out my best friend ChaCha and my boyfriend Kenny because they were sharing it on like all their social media platforms. I'm just really grateful for that, so I'm gonna link their social media information below. Anyway, so today is Halloween, and I don't know when this video will be up. It'll probably be up after Halloween because I don't know that I'm gonna get it up today, but I wanted to kind of get ready for the day. I'm gonna do like a little like dramatic purple eyeshadow look, which I'm kind of nervous for just because whenever it comes to darker colors, I tend to look crazy just because I have really dark like circles under my eyes. So it kind of looks like I'm just tired or I've been punched in the face. So that's great. But I am excited for this makeup look though too, because lately I've been really into like colored eyeshadows. I used to just do like really neutral colors, and now I'm kind of liking the dramatic stuff, so I'm gonna try my best today. But while you guys are getting ready with me, I am going to tell you guys some paranormal ghost experiences that I have been told I have experienced and that I have like that I remember experiencing. So I thought that would be like a good thing for Halloween. So let's just get on with the video. Okay, so for my first paranormal experience that I've been through was when I was a baby. My mom has told me this story so many times. We used to live in a really haunted house, and I remember a lot of creepy things from that house, but I was also really young, so that's just kind of weird. But my mom said that I used to just like draw like really scary like skeletons and like dark ghosts and like demons and at the age of like 2, and I would say like, oh, I've just seen these people like in the house or whatever. And she said that I would do that pretty frequently, and it was like creepy. And I also used to have so many stuffed animals when I was younger, and I actually kept them for a really long time just because, I don't know, childhood. And so I used to have so many. And my mom asked me one day, like, why do you like stuffed animals so much or whatever? And I used to put, like, I remember this, I used to put them around my bed when I slept, like in a barricade. They were like a fence or whatever. And I used to do that, and I told my mom the reason I did it is because I wanted to stop like the demons or the ghosts from getting to me, and that they were protecting me. Another thing my mom told me about is one time she was giving me a bath, and I was sitting in the back of the bathtub away from the faucet, and I was like a baby. Like, my mom has 8 kids, so and at this point she already had 5. Like, she's like really responsible in terms of like the baby and the kids, I guess. Well, she was running my bath water while I was sitting back there, and she knows not to like make it too hot or make it too cold. Like, she gets like a decent neutral temperature. And my siblings were like yelling and fighting like the hallway, so she just ran out real quick, and she was like just telling them like, settle down, get in the room. Well, she said I just started screaming bloody murder, and she ran back to me, and I was still sitting in the back of the tub fine, but my water was like scalding hot, and she said the hot water was all the way completely turned on. And she was like, and I did not do that to you, I wouldn't. And it was just super creepy. So another paranormal experience that I went through, which I actually kind of remember, I was laying down in my family's bedroom. Like, it was a big family. I had like, I think a 4-bedroom house or something. I was still young, and I had a bed in my parents' bedroom, and their bed was middle of the bedroom while my bed was on the side. And my mom used to make us say our prayers at night, and I would refuse to say them, and my mom was like, why aren't you saying them or whatever. And I remember telling her, I specifically remember this, she was like sitting on the edge of my bed, and I remember just telling her like, I'm scared too because they'll come after me if I do. I don't remember like why I felt that way, but I remember this moment. And I've also just heard this story so many times too, so that's another thing too. Like, I say like I remember these things, But I've been told these stories so many times that I'm just wondering if my brain just made memories of it, you know? But another memory that I remember vividly now, I don't think this was something that my family told me. Like, I specifically just remember this. My family used to watch Blair Witch all the time growing up. And I remember that they were watching it one day. And I kind of was little and I didn't like want to watch it. Like, I was scared of it or whatever. And it was my siblings that were watching it. Well, I decided to take a nap with like my parents. And it was, I'm pretty sure my dad was on the far side, my mom was in the middle, and I was on the edge or something like that. Like, that's how I remember it. I don't know if that's exactly how it was, but I remember laying there and looking up, and I just saw these black figures with white glowing eyes. I get teary-eyed when I talk about it just because it's really creepy. And it was a dad, a mom, and a little kid. And the dad, actually, was my dad in the middle? I think I might have been laying next to my dad. I don't remember. But I just remember the dad one went over top of my dad, and I freaked out and like I ran, and I just ran to the living room, and I don't remember saying anything to anybody. I just ran in their living room and went underneath the covers where all of my siblings were, and I just didn't say anything. But my mom said that when I was younger, I would draw like a family of ghosts all the time, and it was like one kid and two parents. So that's creepy. And then another experience that happened, again, I think I've just been told this story so many times. I don't know, was I told this story? Like, I don't really remember where this one came from, but I remember it. I used to have this dollhouse, and I used to like play with Barbies all the time and stuff like that. And where my bed was, the staircase was next to it. And I remember just kind of sitting, I think I was on my parents' bed, and my siblings came downstairs, or I started yelling or whatever, and I was pointing to my dollhouse. And I remember my sisters coming downstairs. Again, I don't know if this was a dream or if I've just been told this or if this is an actual memory of mine, but I remember my sisters coming down the stairs, and I was like screaming and pointing at my dollhouse, and my dolls in my dollhouse were moving. And like my sisters like freaked out. Okay. And then another paranormal experience that happened to me. I don't really know if it's a paranormal experience, but I vividly, like this was my memory. Like I vividly remember this. And I am creeped and spooked out about it because the reality of it, like knowing now the reality of it happening is that this wouldn't happen. But I vividly remember it. So when I was younger, it was Christmas Eve, and I was sleeping. I always slept with my sisters on Christmas Eve, and I was sleeping in the room. And in the middle of the night, I woke up, and it was a man with a beard, looked like Santa Claus, with like a sack of toys and stuff. My cat's running around the house, but it was a sack of toys. And I remember just seeing him in our bedroom, and he was at the foot of, like, we were sleeping on the floor, I think, and he was just at the foot of us, and he was walking in front of us, and it was just like a shadow. And I looked up, and I was like, Santa? And this face, like, I'm literally getting teary-eyed. This face looked at, like, turned. He's just walking, and I said, Santa? And he looked at me like this. And obviously, like, it was creepy, and then I'm thinking, like, oh my God, it's Santa. Like, he's gonna know that I'm awake. I'm not gonna get toys, things like that. So I put my head underneath the covers, and I was afraid to look up because he like stared at me in a really creepy, scary way. And I was afraid to look up, and I just remember I was like sweating because I was just so hot and I couldn't fall back to sleep, and I was scared. And then I finally just remember like being woken up because the presents were under the tree and stuff. So I eventually fell asleep, and I was telling my siblings, I was telling my family, like, I saw Santa last night, I saw Santa. And they're like, no, you didn't. Like, Santa doesn't come when you're awake or whatever and stuff like that. And so being a little kid, like that's something like you're believing, like you're going to be like seeing Santa. But now, knowing what I know now, the fact that it wasn't Santa, but I vividly remember this, and I remember there being this figure that looked like Santa, creeps me out. Like, that's spooky. Like, that's funny, but it's like really creepy. But for the grand finale of my haunted experiences is the story that I've been told since I can remember. My mom vividly believes that I was possessed one day. Like, this has become such a big story that my siblings have told their friends this story, and I've told my friends this story. And again, I remember this, but then I'm like, do I remember this, or am I just making this memory up because of how many times I've been told this story? Like, I've just pictured it in my head so many times because I've been told it so many times. Well, anyway, the whole I've been possessed thing. My mom used to stay up really late at night, and I remember that I used to wake up and be like, Mom, I'm hungry or whatever. Just kind of because I was interested in the fact that my mom was awake. And I think this was just one of those nights where I was just like, Mom, I'm hungry. Like, I want a bowl of cereal, whatever. So I got out of bed and I asked for a bowl of cereal. Now, when I was young, I used to have a lot of imaginary friends, and my mom believes that they were like demons. She was just freaked out and spooked because of everything that's ever happened in this house. So my mom like gave me a bowl of cereal, and I was sitting there talking at the table with my friends, and I'm sitting there having full-on conversations, you know, like I'm 3 or 4 or whatever, and I'm just like talking, and my mom tells me, all right, Loretta, like, I finished my cereal, like, shouldn't have been awake. And my mom goes, all right, Loretta, it's time for you to go to bed. And I was ignoring her, and she's like, Loretta, it's time for you to go to bed, come on, like, listen to me, you know, like yelling at me because I'm not listening. And she says that, and I remember this, but I don't know. But she says I just kind of just stopped what I was doing. I looked around, I looked down, and I looked up at her like this and was like, why don't we all just kill her? And I said it in like a creepy, dark, manly voice at the age of like 3 or 4. And my mom, again, like, this is like this infamous story that my mom believed and is telling everybody, and obviously she freaked out. And I remember this part, and I don't know if I've been told this or if I just made this up in my head, but I remember like snapping out of it or something, and my mom crying and freaking out like, Loretta. And I, not crying, but like worked up, and I just snapped out of it like, what's wrong, Mom? Or whatever. And she was like freaked out, and I like got up and like went to bed. I don't know, that's just spooky. Nothing scary's really happened to me since I was little, and that's all for pretty much like what I remember ever happening, or like any story that I've been involved with. But my sister Bridget, on the other hand, she swears she's been haunted her whole life and that somebody is like out to get her. Can you see her? Ginger. Hi, baby. So one of the stories that I remember my sister telling me, either my sister was telling me, like Bridget told me, or my sister Brittany told me, but either way, I remember this. And it was, one of my sisters told me this, but I don't remember who it was, and I don't know if, I'm assuming it was Bridget, or it was Brittany telling me Bridget's story, and I could be getting this all wrong, but from what I remember, this is what was told. So it was my sister Bridget was living with her dad at the time, and she remembers being woken up for school one day, and her dad woke her up like, Bridgie, it's time to get up, like, you have school. Well, or Moop, because that's her nickname, like saying that, and she remembers waking up because of her dad, and she vividly was like, this wasn't a dream, like, he woke me up. And she got up, she got ready for school, stuff like that. She goes out of her room, and she realizes all the lights are off, it's not time to go to school, like, what's going on? So she's like, Dad? And like, she heard a noise, and then she goes, looks for her dad, and her dad is sound asleep in his bed. So, but she remembers there being like a man, her dad's black, and she remembers there being like a black man, black figure, telling her to wake up, calling her Mook, like, that's just what her dad calls her. So obviously she was like freaked out, and she woke her dad up like crying and asked him like, did you wake me up for school? And he was like, no, like, wait, no. And so then she ended up just like going to sleep with her dad. And she was like a teenager, like older, like 16 or whatever. And she went to bed with her dad that night. And then another story that she like shared with me was the time that she kind of had sleep paralysis, I guess. I don't know if it was sleep paralysis. She says it wasn't. She's had it before, but this one she was like, it was different. Like I was like actively awake. And she said she used to share a room with my sister Brittany, and my sister Brittany's bed was on this side and her bed was on this side, and she's sleeping or whatever, and she wakes up, or she said it was like the middle of the day or something. I forget, but she remembers just vividly being awake. And my sister Brittany was sleeping, and Bridget just remembers looking over and seeing Brittany's like sleeping like this, seeing this ghost figure like sit up, and she said that it was a demon or something that was making fun of Jesus, and that it looked like a skinny Jesus, but it was clearly a sick, demented one. And she remembers like trying to call Brittany's name, but nothing was like coming out. You know, she was just like really freaked out. That's another experience that happened with her. Again, I don't know if I'm recalling these exactly how it happened. But I just remember being told this by somebody, whether that be Bridget or Brittany, that was just sharing this information with me. But my sister Bridget literally thinks somebody's out to get her. And I know when she like first moved out on her own, she would sleep with like the lights on every night because, you know, she was like scared. But yeah, so that's my crazy family and my crazy ghost experiences. So I just ended up finishing my makeup off camera because I was already done talking about the paranormal experiences that I've had. So I just wanted to cut down the time and just, you know, finish the rest of it. So this is the finished look. So for Halloween, I think I'm going to go as like a butterfly or maybe a witch. I had the idea of a butterfly before, and then Kylie Jenner posted pictures of her as a butterfly, and now, you know, I don't want to give her too much competition, so I don't know if I'm going to go as a butterfly anymore. Trust me, Kylie's fine. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed all of my stories, and leave a comment about one of your stories. I'd love to hear them. Just like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content coming. And I think I'm going to start posting on Mondays from now on. But yeah, thank you so much.